I'll let it load up a little bit. Let the all right. Oh shit. Oh. So I was talking to a brother, I think from IUIC yesterday. Load up a little bit. Let the and guess who's in the chat commenting, talking about drop the link. It was Apostle.
Hmm.
I was like, Apostle, I'm not dropping a link for you. LG, the last time I dropped the link to this guy, he still maintains that he had the Codex Sinaiticus in his hand.
Yeah,
He still
yeah.
maintains. He
I saw that. Terrible, terrible.
yeah. So I said, brother, you got English in there? He said, yeah. I said, why you got English in your Greek Bible? And he just couldn't get it. So this time he wanted to come on. I had no idea why. Because he just want to rant, right? He don't want to dialogue, exchange a conversation. He wants to just talk freely about nothing. And then when he gets done, it's like I don't even know what I disagree with or agree with because you really ain't go anywhere. You just did a lot of talking. Okay, so I'm gonna press play now.
All right. Hey, this is my brother, Hasad. Hasad, this is Pastor Meach. I'm not sure where he hails from, but we've been having a dialogue about the Immaculate Conception.
Okay, Pastor Meach, what's going on, my brother? How you doing?
What's going on, man? I'm good. How you doing, man?
I'm not too bad.
Is it nice and loud?
Yeah, I can hear everything there.
So, the virgin birth, that's what we're talking about?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Or the lack.
Okay, so the reason why he called Hassan because he was getting mollywopped. He currently answer me questions. You know how he do. So he said, I'm gonna call out researchers.
Of.
The lack of virgin birth. Got you. Okay.
So we basically.
I don't know how far into the dot. Go ahead, brother.
Yeah, I was going to tell you where we're at in the conversation, and then you can kind of give us your thoughts. So we basically got all the way to Matthew 1. We looked at the whole dynamic of begat and was born, understanding, almost the formula of father begat son. And then when the mother's mentioned, it says of the mother. But just how there's no Joseph begat Jesus. That's what we're talking about right now.
Okay. Well, here's two things that I would say. One, when you look at the Greek word for begat, it literally means of fathers fathering children. So all the way from Abraham begat Isaac, Isaac begat Jacob, that word literally means of a father begatting a child. A woman does not begat a child. A father begats a child, number one. Number two, the Papyrus 1 and Papyrus 2. These are the two oldest Gospels, manuscripts of the Gospel of Matthew.
Talking about
literally say, and you can. I'm sorry.
You're talking about Codex Aleph and Codex B.
I don't know if it's that codex, but it's the earliest Gospel of the Book of Matthew that we have, and it literally says, and even in the Syriac Sinaiticus, it literally says in Matthew 1:16, I believe is what it is. And Jacob begat Joseph.
All right, so he's just jumping from manuscript to manuscript. He's not giving any context behind any of them. This says that, the oldest says that, the Syriac Sinaiticus says that. He's not really doing a good job explaining. Like, he's talking to a brother that he does not know, right? So
he says there that manuscript P1 and P2, yeah?
Yeah.
Right. Well, that's a mistake straight off, because the oldest manuscript that we have of Matthew dates to the 3rd century, and it's actually Papyrus 37, because P just stands for papyrus, basically.
Okay.
And the P37 is the oldest manuscript that we have in Greek. So, P1 and P2, I'd have to look those up, but I don't even know if they are Matthew.
Yeah, so Meach had looked up, Meach said one isn't and one is. And he said the one that is, it has begot the same way and born the same way any other Greek manuscript has it. Is nothing changed. So
yeah, I'll be very surprised if, because there are no this isn't a textual criticism issue. All of the manuscripts agree, apart from like the Syriac one, but that's one specific manuscript, which is a completely different thing. But when it comes to the Greek, all of the manuscripts agree anyway. So
Yeah, and Hasad will have no way of demonstrating the Greek and pointing out what word is what. Zero. So he just going off, just lying, hoping that Pastor Meeks doesn't know, because most people don't look into the, especially the people they argue with. They argue with Christians, right? Christians don't really go into manuscripts, and they just read their Bible, whether it's ESV, NIV, NLT, whatever it is. They just read that KJV. They don't go into the Hebrew or English. They trust the English is correct. That's all.
And Joseph begat Jesus of Mary, who was called Christ. That's direct quote from the Syriac Sinaiticus and the Mary, who was called Christ. That's direct quote from the Syriac Sinaiticus and the Papyrus 1 and Papyrus 2 both say the.
Okay, so the Syriac Sinaiticus, it in Luke 2, the Syriac, I don't know if you know, but the Syriac Sinaiticus says Mary is from the tribe of David, or the lineage of David. In the Syriac Sinaiticus, it actually
in the
says,
Syriac Sinaiticus, it says
well, in the
that Mary
English,
is of David.
yeah. So in the Syriac, in the Syriac Sinaiticus translation of the Greek, the English translation of the Syriac Sinaiticus translation, because they're both translations. So the English translation of the Syriac translation says Mary's from Judah in Luke 2, and the same thing you said. So they try to fight one fight and then they give up another one. But then they argue that Mary's from Levi. So it's like, wait a minute. If you're using the Syriac Sinaiticus as your base of information to say Joseph is the biological father of Jesus, well, it's calling Mary a Judite, from Davidite. So how do you maintain she's a Levite if the Syriac Sinaiticus is your base? So, we call that cherry picking.
Exact same thing. So the earliest Gospels and manuscripts that we have of the book of Matthew, they do literally say Joseph begat Jesus. But of course,
there you go.
Well, I can post. I'll copy you a link here in the chat, Unbiased, because I've literally got the Greek of Papyrus 1.
Okay. Yeah.
And it reads the exact same as the Greek that we have. So I'll copy that into the chat.
Yeah. So these guys just be lying, hoping you don't know.
Yeah.
That's wild interest.
Papyrus 1 and 2. What are their names when you say Papyrus 1 and 2? Usually they name it by like where they found it.
No, it's literally Papyrus 1 and Papyrus 2. So like here, I mean, like, for example, right? So
you got any source I could kind of look at for that?
Well, the source is just literally Papyrus 1 and Papyrus 2. Like what you're thinking of, brother, is like how the Codex Sinaiticus, right? That's the earliest New Testament, whole New Testament book that we have.
So let me just show you, LJ. So I'm gonna do this. This is of course I'm at the website, but I screen recorded it. So I'm gonna share my screen. So LJ, you can look at the Syriac Sinaiticus, Luke chapter 2. Okay, this is the English translation of Syriac Sinaiticus. I'm gonna press play. So I'm showing you right now. It says a translation of the four Gospels from the. If I go down lower, it's going to say the Syriac Sinaiticus. So this is it. This is the website. Oh, it says that's my title. But let's look at it. So I'm scrolling down. We're at Luke chapter 2. Okay, so it says it's kind of what Eusebius said, that there they might be enrolled because they were both of the house of David. Okay, so it's saying they both were of the house of David. This is a translation of the four Gospels from and it's going to say Syriac Sinaiticus. Okay, so then now let me look at what you had presented. All right, so let's look at that. So for those who are listening, their arguments doesn't support them. So like when they bring up a source, it halfway support them. Some portion supports them, and the other portion doesn't. So that's a problem. Because if I bring up a source, all of it is going to support me, not portions of it. All right, so LJ, I'm here looking at Papyrus 1, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
So if you scroll down, you can read the actual text of Papyrus 1. There's only because it doesn't contain the whole of Matthew 1.
Right. It don't
But
need to. It just got to cover 16.
yeah,
That's his
it
argument.
covers 16. 16
All right.
verse 16 is there.
So
So
let
if
me
you
just show
scroll down.
everybody that this is the word for begot. For Abraham, this right here says Abraham begot Thon, and this is Isaac. Okay, so this word right here is egenesis. So just keep in mind, it looks like an OEV. That's literally begot. Man begots a child. We scroll down to verse 6. Remember, here it is again. So these let you know that it's over and over and over again, like you see in English. Begot, begot. Okay, so you got it right here again. So we're gonna go down to 16. All right. So 16, it says Iaco de Egenesen. Remember, it looked like an OEV. Don Iosef, Don Andra Marias, Ek. Hes. Look at this. So this is it looks like an N-O-N. So you see the begot changes. So this is literally identical to the blue letter Texas Receptors and every other Greek. So let me just do blue letter. So I could just see, this is what they can't do. They can't demonstrate what they're saying. All right, so Matthew.
Yeah, so like he's making a claim about Papyrus 1, and that is so we bring up Papyrus 1, which doesn't read as he's saying that it reads.
Right.
So that's just a
Exactly.
blatant lie.
Yep. So it reads exactly like the Texas Receptors and other Greek manuscripts. So let me just go here. I'm gonna go to Texas Receptors. All right. Oh, I gotta go here. Okay. So verse 16. So as you can see, we got the Iako Eganesen, which is begot, and we got the other word as different. Okay, clearly different. Give me a second. All right, so this word is clearly different. So Hasad wants us to believe that this is different in the Papyrus 1. We're looking at Papyrus 1, and we see the same word, right here. So look at that word. It looks like N-O-N, and we go back to Texas Receptus, and we see it looks like N-O-N. So it's literally the same word, Papyrus 1, that he said was different. And what do you call this again, LJ? This is the nominum sacris. What do you call it again?
The nomina sacra, yeah, that's when they just shorten basically certain words such as Christ, God. They just shorten them down.
Yeah, so this would be Jesus, and this would be the Christ, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like a sacred acronym or something.
It's just a quick way of writing those names that they write on a regular basis, rather than writing them out.
Okay.
It was a later adaptation. It didn't start off that way, but the scribes started to just shorten the words that they used over and over again. The sacred names, basically. So they utilize those. Spirit, Holy Spirit, God.
Holy Spirit too. Wow.
Yeah, these became shorter words.
So
And Papyrus 2, just looking at Papyrus 2, it's actually the Gospel of John, and it's a very small portion of the Gospel of John is Papyrus
it's a whole different
P2.
book.
Yeah, it's completely different. It only contains a very small portion of John, and there's a portion of Luke on the other side. So
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So he's utilized P1, which actually supports our position, and P2 doesn't have anything to do with Matthew whatsoever.
At all. Yeah, so I'm looking at the yeah, no, you can't get that out. Right. Okay, okay, well here, you gotta go. Okay, and don't drink it. Come. All right. Okay. So yeah, I'm looking at the different sacred, whatever you call it, and it's showing Holy Spirit. Yeah, definitely got it different way. All right. So let's press play. So it looks like he was told that, or he okay. So LJ, because the proof doesn't support his claim, two things: either he just was told that and he believed it, or it's something he just made up as like a bluff.
It sounds to me like you can't really just say oh P1 or P2. You've got to be told that for some reason. That's a strange thing to make up, but I think he's been told that and hasn't actually checked it himself, which they don't do anyway. They don't fact check to any of these things that they're
Right.
told. And he's just gone, yeah, I'll take that as fact.
Right. Yeah, you said it, so it must be true.
Yeah.
All right.
Which is a very
papyrus is
dangerous thing
different.
to do.
So
Right. Yeah. Well, and like cult religions, that's usually the case. They just and this is why like a lot of these cults, all of them, but more so or most recent, the Hebrew Israelites, they're really told. I don't know if you noticed, but they're told to not debate. Like leave it to the liars, like the original liars of the doctrine. Leave it to them to debate. So you don't go debate. Like they're actually told like don't debate. So now, but LJ, I find it interesting because they call these classes training classes, like where they're training for like a spiritual war.
Hmm.
I told Meech, even like armed forces, when they train you, you're prepared to go fight. How are you trained for a spiritual war and then told don't fight? Let us do it. He's like, well, why are you training us then? And it's because of they can't defend the doctrine, and when the lies get called out, they get stuck. As you've seen, hundreds of them on my channel can't even answer simple stuff. Jacob begot Joseph. All of them think that's Jacob Israel. It's like you go, no. Jacob Israel's verse 2. We're talking about verse 16. This Jacob is different, and they get confused. They think I'm tricking them. Wait. So Jacob didn't have Joseph? Yeah, but that's not what this is saying. All right, brother. Do you think Joseph married Mary? Do you think Israel's son Joseph married Mary? No. Right. So this ain't Jacob and Joseph. Oh, and like they say that like kind of reluctantly, like, oh, I'm not. It sounds right, but I don't trust you.
a papyrus won't contain the entire gospel, like all four gospels or the synoptic gospels. It'll just be like it'll be like almost like a sheet of paper with a few verses on it from the Gospel of Matthew, or it might have a whole chapter. It's like a short piece of paper. You see what I'm saying?
So anyway, like this is bad strategy from Hasad, because you want to hold on to your gotcha, fake evidence. You don't want to let it out because now we know what you're gonna say and or produce it or try to produce it. We already ahead of you to say nope, it doesn't say that. But this was just I'm shocked that he went to his gotcha right off the bat. I'm like a little shocked.
So the
Right.
earliest manuscripts or writing that we have of the Gospel of Matthew is Papyrus 1 and Papyrus 2, both of which cite Joseph as the father of Mary. Or sorry, father of Jesus by Mary.
Okay. I'm gonna look into that.
And more
So
importantly,
you mentioned
okay.
yes. So you mentioned the Syriac Sinaiticus, right?
Yes,
So other than Papyrus 1 and 2, are there any other manuscripts that the Syriac Sinaiticus agrees with in terms of the Greek?
I mean, I believe it agrees with the Textus Receptus.
It actually doesn't. When you look, it doesn't even agree with.
All right, so he just confirmed our suspicion that he's just winging it. He doesn't know in advance. He said, "I believe it matches up to the Texas Receptus." That means that he didn't look at the Texas Receptus. He didn't look at P1. He didn't look at well, I don't know what you can look at from the Syriac because it's in English, but he's not looking at anything. I mean, they have it. They have it in Syriac. So I'm saying English for him. I know he can't read Syriac. Him or Divine Prospect. So I know they can't confirm it. So they can only look at the English. But he didn't look at the text receptors and look at Papyrus 1 and then determine it's similar or the same. He just winging it. I believe it's the same. He just told you he just winging it. Trust me, I'm saying it. It must be true.
With the majority text, the Westcott and Hort text, Codex Sinaiticus, Codex Alexandrinus, it only agrees with one Old Latin version. There's a work that Gratian Machen did on this. It's called, his book is actually called The Virgin Birth. He goes over the Syriac Sinaiticus in detail on it. But
now myself, like LJ, we all got different ways to talk to people about things we disagree with. I got my approach. You got your approach. LJ got his. Meech got his approach. Matt got his approach. ILCK got his approach. Tone got his approach. We all got different approaches. Me, I wouldn't have accepted that the Greek said that, like, because I know better. So I would have been like, brother, I just can't see the Greek saying that, and you would have to like read it to me in the verse, like, brother, do you have that on you by any chance? Can you read me verse 16 in the Greek and Papyrus 1? Like, that's what I would do, bro, because I'm from a stable where we say demonstration beats conversation, source up or shut up. So at least, so you can't show me because we're on a call, but read it to me. And then that would expose he can't read it, so therefore he can't confirm it. Yeah. So that would have been my stance, but because I know it's not going to say it in Greek. So my thing would be, brother, can you read that to me in Greek so I can know that it says eganesin twice, and that still wouldn't mean you're right, but at least it's favoring you at this point.
but yeah.
So his position is that. So he just to clarify. So he agrees that the Syriac Sinaiticus does in fact say that Joseph begat Christ, but he says basically that that is.
Now I'm not so sure on that either. Like, to me, that's still a question. That language is kind of funny, so I'm not quick to say yes to that either.
Basically like an outlier and it doesn't agree with any other manuscripts. Okay, that's what his position.
Yeah.
Okay, I got you.
Yeah. Even the other, because we have, I believe it's a total of 7.
See, that's what I'm trying to say. I like my approach. I'm quick to point out, well, brother, I don't even know if it says that in Syriac. Do you speak Syriac? Do you read Syriac? No. Okay. So you're going off a translation of a translation. So I didn't even know if it says that in Syriac. And then isn't it a translation? Yeah. So what original manuscript was it translated from? We need that. We got to verify the Syriac to make sure it was properly translated from the original source. Don't we do that with the King James? Like when these guys don't want to believe something, like Mary born Jesus, they'll say, hey, it doesn't prove, it doesn't say that. Let's go to the older language. So likewise, okay, stop. So likewise with the Syriac, I don't believe it says that in the Greek manuscript. So show me the Greek manuscript where we got this from. But we could chalk this translation in trash as just a bad translation.
Then Syriac translations. You have the Peshuta, the Atessaron, Cretonian, and there's 3 others. I think they're called like the Old Syriac, and there's 2 other ones. But basically, they don't agree with these ones. So these are basically outliers. But then he goes on to say how it's possible, it's possible they corrupted the text, but also it's possible that they didn't take this begat as an actual birthing, that it's a passing down of kingship. So he gives a qualification for both cases. Maybe they're just completely wrong, or maybe they took it this way. We don't know. So.
Yeah, and that's fine. But here's the thing. I think, and you might agree with this, especially when we get into like the language of it. I believe it is for sure important, but it can be a situation where you say this, I say that, and now we're kind of at a standstill. Now, I believe my argumentation is, and just honestly, no disrespect whatsoever, is definitely I have a better argument, but I think there's more supporting evidence outside of just the language of of what we see in Matthew 1 that supports my position. Number one would be the first prophecy in Matthew 1 that cites or quotes the birth of Christ when it says all this was fulfilled.
I won't let that slide. It's like, no, actually, my argument is better because you're using a translation and we don't know the source of which it was translated from. My translation, I have the translation and the source, the manuscript of which it was translated from. So I can demonstrate mine said what it says. You can't find your original source. So
yeah, well, you would also say is, look, we've got, I don't know how many manuscripts of Matthew 1. I'd have to have a look at how many we have, but let's say we have 100 manuscripts of Matthew 1 in the Greek, and they all read the same as how we understand it in the Textus Receptus, versus one, like you say, a translation of a translation. And now we're going to say that one manuscript that dates from the 4th to 5th century, that trumps every other manuscript that we have.
right,
all the other
translation,
written evidence that we have.
yeah, a translation trumps the original.
Yeah, you're giving priority to literally one manuscript over all of the other evidence. If we had like maybe one Greek manuscript that read the same as the Syriac, you could say, okay, there may be some supporting evidence there, but we have no Greek manuscript that reads that way. So we don't know where this manuscript was translated from. We don't know who did it. We don't know what they used. We don't know the reason they translated it. So there's no support there. It's just one manuscript standalone on its own that has no other manuscript support for that particular reading. So which one is going to be correct? Is it the one with the plethora of evidence that supports it, or this one outlining or outliner manuscript
Right.
that nobody else utilized?
All this was done so that might be fulfilled. In the quotes.
And that same manuscript disagrees with his second argument that Mary's not from Judah. So that same manuscript that you're holding to say this is the one, it says Mary's from Judah. And you don't believe that, right?
Isaiah 7:14, a virgin shall conceive and shall bear a son, and thou shalt call his name Emmanuel, right? Now, Here what would be my question for you, and I don't have too much time, but I want to just get your understanding on this. When the Bible is quoting Isaiah 7:14, are you aware that when you read Isaiah 7:14, it has an initial fulfillment with Isaiah's son?
So now this is the worst argument you could bring forth to me, because I was the one who brought this forth. And I hope Meech got him, because nowhere in Isaiah it says this was fulfilled. Nowhere in Isaiah it said that Isaiah's wife was a virgin. Like, there is zero evidence to point to Isaiah as fulfilling. You know what's interesting, LJ? So Isaiah is going to tell you about the prophecy and then fulfill it himself.
Yeah, that's not a prophet's job.
Yeah. I mean, what kind of prophecy is that? If I say, LJ, man, tomorrow somebody's gonna rob the bank, and then I go do it, it's like, yeah, well, of course you can predict your own actions.
Yeah.
LJ, you're gonna receive $100 in your wallet, unbeknownst to you, and I go put it there. What kind of prophet am I? Yeah, a prophet can't be responsible for his own prophecy, I wouldn't think. But if, let's say they could be, nowhere in Isaiah, and I think Meech's going to hit on that, nowhere in Isaiah does it remotely imply that Isaiah is fulfilling the prophecy he's speaking about to supposedly come later.
First shall abaz in Isaiah 8:2.
You know, that's just as bad as the angel telling Mary she shall become pregnant and then make sure she's pregnant and then do the job himself.
Yeah, but we've also got the fact that in Isaiah 7:14, we'd have to look. We're going. He may bring up the Alma argumentation anyway, but it says that the virgin will give birth. Now, Isaiah's wife was not a virgin because, one, she was already his wife, And
Right.
two, she'd already given birth to his previous child.
Yeah, and guess
So-
what? And that child at minimum is 20 years old because Numbers 1:18 says number these kids who are eligible for war starting at age 20. So now that son was going to meet King Ahaz during on a battlefield. So that kid had to be minimum 20 years old, 20 years age. So she's not a virgin in the without sex sense, the marriage sense, or a young woman sense. She's not a virgin at all.
Yeah.
In no
And
sense.
this comes back to the conversation that we had a bit earlier about with Captain, who's claiming that literally virgin doesn't mean that you've never had sex before.
Yeah.
So we're redefining words in order to make argumentation.
Right. And don't forget, Vocab asked him, where did Joseph have sex with Mary? And he said he read the passage where he said he didn't have sex
Yeah.
with Mary. So that means we can't use Luke 134 because that's Mary saying she did have sex. When she said, I know not a man, that's her saying, how shall this be? Because I already had sex.
Not really a question. If you've already had sex,
Right.
how am I going to become pregnant? Is
Yeah.
is a ridiculous statement if you're already having sex.
Or she could be saying, in Captain's logic, how am I going to have a baby with Joseph when I already had sex with Tom?
Mm-hmm.
It's Tom's baby.
I would say it has a partial fulfillment because when we say fulfill.
See, there you go again, dude. See, I wouldn't argue that. That's not a fulfillment in any way, shape, form. See, the partial, no.
Aroma means to be filled to the brim, meaning there's no more to be filled up to. So that's partial fulfillment, but not a full fulfillment. I would agree with you in a sense. Yeah. Can I ask you something real quick? Because I know you're short on time.
No
right?
problem. I know. No problem. But I just wanted to further just kind of gauge your understanding on that. So what you're saying is then when Isaiah 7:14 is initially given as a prophecy to King, I believe that's Hezekiah or Ahaz. It is
Right.
initially fulfilled. I believe it has a greater fulfillment. I think we both can agree that it has a greater fulfillment in Christ, but it nonetheless has an initial fulfillment with Isaiah's son, right?
In a sense, even though we can't clearly see that in the scripture that, hey, this was fulfilled, kind of like how Matthew lays out, hey, this was fulfilled. But I see what you're saying, that in a sense, yeah,
Well,
the immediate sign was given. Well, it doesn't say this was fulfilled, but I understand how the text
it does,
reads, that you see the
son.
son. It says it was fulfilled.
And you heard what he said. He said it does. So Nietzsche's like, it doesn't say it was fulfilled like we read in Matthew 1:23. It literally says this was fulfilled. Like this was all done, Joseph, that it may be fulfilled by the prophet Isaiah, saying a virgin shall conceive and be with child. So now Hasad is saying it does say it like that. Watch this.
Fulfilled, or it just follows the prophecy that the
Well,
prophet
it
has
doesn't
a
say
child.
literally it was fulfilled.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
That's what I'm saying. I understand. I know where you're going. Yeah. I'm not gonna disagree with.
Well,
what
let me
you're
just
gonna
read it just so I make sure that you're following me, right? Because Isaiah 8, and I'll just start at verse 3. It says, just real quick, what is your preferred translation, or do you care?
KJV.
Okay, that's cool. That's cool with me. Okay, so Isaiah 8:3, it says, I went unto the prophetess. This is Isaiah. He had sex with this woman, and she conceived and bare a son. Then said the Lord to me, call his name Maher Shalal Shabaz, right? And then when you read later, it says, watch this, hold on. Isaiah 8:8 now. Just a little bit later in the verse. And it says, and he shall pass through Judah, he shall overflow and go over, he shall reach even to the neck, here's the point, and the stretching out of his wings shall fill the breadth of thy lands, O Emmanuel. So it doesn't literally say, and the scripture was fulfilled here, but we see if you just continue reading on Isaiah, the scripture is fulfilled. At least we both can agree initially. Now, I'm not trying to be too long-winded, but here's the question, my brother.
That was terrible. That was terrible proof that it was fulfilled in Isaiah. That was horrible.
I'm biased. Let's say we give him the benefit of the doubt that it was fulfilled in Isaiah 8, which we know it's not. But let's give him the benefit of the doubt. It's fulfilled. It's irrelevant because Matthew still claims that Jesus is the fulfillment of it.
Right.
Even still, Matthew says that Jesus is the fulfillment. Now you have to deny what Matthew is
Right.
stating here.
You can't argue that one. Yeah, he's still saying that Jesus fulfilled. Right. We don't read that Isaiah's son fulfilled it at all.
No.
But
Matthew is claiming that Jesus is the fulfillment of that verse.
Right.
And you can't get past that because there's no textual criticism there. That verse is 100% solid. It's not it. The Syriac Sinaiticus doesn't read different. Matthew states that Jesus is the fulfillment of the prophecy in Isaiah 7:14.
Right. Yep. Yeah, we could just stick our guns right there. Like, I understand what you're reading in Isaiah, but this is not said to have fulfilled this. Whatever you're reading, we don't read it fulfilled it, but we read it in Matthew 1:23, word for word. You know, we don't got to put things together, the pieces of the puzzle together. It says it plainly.
Brother, if we both can agree that at least the initial fulfillment of Isaiah 7:14, which is the first prophecy that is quoted for Jesus in Matthew 1, it is fulfilled through sex between a man and a woman. How then can we see this scripture being fulfilled with Christ and it not involve sex with a man and a woman when it quotes?
Now that is, oh my God, how many, LJ, what prophecy of old was fulfilled in the New Testament verbatim, like exactly as expressed in the Old? Like, none of them. Jesus was pregnant somewhere else. They went to Bethlehem to have the birth so he can be said to be born in Bethlehem. They traveled there to have the baby there.
Yeah. They then traveled to Egypt so that they can fulfill the
right. Exactly.
The prophecy of being called out of Egypt.
Right. They went there. They weren't captives or forced, beyond their will. They traveled there to fulfill these prophecies. So these are totally different from how it was original. Like, all of them are.
Post this exact prophecy.
Right. That's the right question to ask. I'm glad you asked that. So when we look at the begat versus was born, are you aware of the inflection and the difference of the active and the passive in the Greek?
I mean, begat means of men fathering children.
Yeah, now I believe this was not needed, because if you conceded to a older translation possibly not saying that, then it's irrelevant to bring this out right now, right? It wouldn't matter, because if Hasad is right, then Nietzsche will be reciting a bad translation, basically. So this wouldn't hold weight. If Hasad is right about Papyrus 1, then telling him this would make no sense. Because if I was Hasad, I'll say, yeah, but what manuscript is this? This is the text of Receptus, right? Okay. I told you there's one older and it doesn't say that. So this is a bad translation. The older one is more closer to truth. So there's no need to even go down this road. That's all he had to say. So I felt like this was kind of unneeded right here. It's like kind of just giving them information that they didn't deserve or work for. So that's why we gotta be careful educating them when it's not needed. It's like, no, like he told you that there's an older papyrus. So don't do this right now. Only do this, LJ. Only do this when you prove the older papyrus says the same thing. Now you do this.
What you should have done is exactly what you said. Is we need to so you made a claim of this Papyrus 1. Let's go have a look at this Papyrus 1, prove it, and then we can move on from there.
Yeah. We're arming them when we don't need to. Okay.
Children.
Yeah, it has the general meaning, but it has different inflections. So whenever you see begat, that's always the active form of the verb ganao. So active means that the subject performs the action, and the passive means that the subject receives the action. So in the active sense, the father is always the subject. He's the one fathering the children. But when you see was born, Jesus is the subject there, and he's receiving that action. So now you have a change only in the terms of a Christ birth and in no other birth in that narrative. I think that's very important. It stands out, and that's why Matthew has to go on and say, in this way, Jesus was born.
Right. So I guess, and again, we can get back to the language of the Greek, but I want to make sure that you understand what my question is. So we see the initial fulfillment of Isaiah 7:14. It involves a man having sex with a woman. Then can we take that? How then is it? How then can you take that verse in Matthew chapter 1 and quote it from Isaiah 7:14 and it not involve sex between a man and a woman?
Because if that is the case,
again,
you always
I'm
have,
asking you to directly answer.
Yeah. So you have different circumstances of certain prophecies that are restated in scripture in a different way, basically. But I basically qualified it that, okay.
I missed the question. What was the question?
I don't even understand what his question is. It's something to do with if it's fulfilled with man and woman having sex in Isaiah 7:14 is fulfilled man and woman having sex in Isaiah 8, then why would it be different with Jesus' fulfillment of it? It should be man and woman having sex, basically.
All right. So the way I respond,
so it must be the exact same way that one was fulfilled as the other, even though Jesus coming out of Egypt, which is exactly the same thing as the Israelites coming out of Egypt, but Jesus didn't do it in the exact same way. He wasn't in slavery first, was he? It's a different fulfillment. There's parallels between, but they don't have to be the exact same thing. Jesus didn't come out of slavery, out of Egypt, so it's not an exact same fulfillment.
Wasn't King David buried in Bethlehem? I don't think he was born there. I think he was buried there.
I think he was born in Bethlehem, and it became the city of David. That's how they called it.
Let me see.
I'm not sure if he was buried in Bethlehem.
I could have sworn somebody was buried there. Let me look at that.
Could very well be David who was buried there, but he was. I'm sure he was born there.
All right, so let's see. I'm not sure what chapter it is. I just want to make sure. Okay, Samuel. Okay, so I have seen a son of Jesse, the Bethlehemite. Okay. Now, David was the son of the Ephrathite of Bethlehem and Judah. Okay. So,
okay. Oh, no. The Bible states that he was buried in the city of David, which would mean Bethlehem.
Right. So he was buried there.
Yeah. He was definitely buried there.
Yeah. I don't know if he was born there. I don't think he was born there. I think he was just buried there.
Yeah, but I know he was the son of a Bethlehemite. So maybe, not sure actually whether he was born there. His father certainly was from Bethlehem.
It says Jesse the Bethlehemite. Right. Okay. All right. So, but we know for a fact he was buried there. Okay. So, but Jesus Christ
definitely buried there. Yeah.
Right. And that was the emphasis. Like that's why it was noted, because he was buried there. So, but Jesus was born there. He was like the opposite. But to answer his question, I would think it would be silly. I will say, brother, you're asking me. Okay, what do you want? What? Go. What do you want? Okay, so I would say, LJ. So, Hasad, you think everything got to be exact? All right. That's the first thing I will say is, do you think everything got to be exact? Right. Then he will maybe answer, maybe not, and then I'll say, I will say, I'm trying to do two things at once. Okay, hold on. Okay, so I would say, brother, either Jesus was born of a virgin or not. Like you're asking me a question about Isaiah and it got to be perfect with Jesus. Brother, why are you asking me hypothetical questions? Was Jesus born of a virgin or not? No. So let's read it. Okay. So don't ask me a hypo. It has to be this way. Forget about what has to be. What was? What was? Was he born of a virgin or not?
Yeah. What
That's
does
the same
scripture say?
question. Right.
What does the
Hypothetically,
scripture
it'll
actually
make sense,
say?
right? It'll be logical. A lot of things would be logical, man. It'll be logical that Absalom would be the next son to reign.
Mm.
It'd be logical that King David should have been dead for adultery. There's a lot of logical, things that didn't happen. So let's go on what happened, the history. The history is what happened with Jesus. Born of a virgin, not. So that question I will put back on him. Like, dude, that's why we're here. We're here to answer that question, thus said the Lord. Look at the words.
That may be the case that, yeah, they did have sex. But in the Matthew 1 narrative, we don't see that taking place. We actually see a complete. If he just wanted to say that, he would have said Joseph begat Jesus. That would have been the consensus throughout all the manuscripts. We wouldn't find any, we wouldn't find a huge division. That would have been like a real debate. Like, okay, let's talk about this.
But the earliest manuscripts we have of Matthew say that Jacob begat Joseph and Joseph begat Jesus. They literally say that.
But do the totality of the manuscripts
this is now saying exactly what you just said.
That's the real question. Because we have the earliest, but
the number one earliest.
Okay.
He's literally making the argument that you just said. Now he's appealing to the original manuscripts.
Told you. That's why I wouldn't even waste my time. If I can't confirm Papyrus 1, then I'll say, okay, I'll put that on hold. Okay, then there's no point to talk about the inflections because if this is new, it's no good. Yeah, so he's doing exactly what I thought he would do. Good. And by the way, for anybody watching, it's my first time listening to this. I never listened. I wouldn't do a live reaction, but me and Meech kept missing. Like my night is his morning is my night. And when it gets too late for me, I gotta go to sleep. So my 12 o'clock is basically his 1 o'clock. My 12 a.m. is his 1 p.m. So all right, anyway. Yeah, so he went back and said, well, Papyrus 1 doesn't say that, right, LJ, pretty much. Or prove Papyrus 1 has that same inflection. Yeah.
Because we can't continue on the conversation on the basis that you're making a claim about something until we've proven that claim, and then we can continue on and argue based on what you've actually stated. But at the moment, all you've done is made an assertion that you haven't supported at all. And now we've got to accept that as fact.
Right.
And so we can't continue on a conversation or prove it wrong until you've
proven wrong.
Yeah.
Okay. Yep. I thought you'd go there.
The number 1 earliest and the number 2 earliest both say that.
So is he saying Papyrus 1 and Papyrus 2 are the 2 earliest? When you said Papyrus 2 goes to John. Okay. All right. Let me see Meech's response.
So here's the thing with the whole earliest concept. Earliest doesn't always mean purest. There's a professor. His name is Dean John Burgeon. He does a full study, textual criticism on Texas receptive versus majority text. And he talks about how this is the main point that someone goes to. Earliest means the best. Yet you see many corruptions within Codex Sinaiticus, Codex Alexandrinus, that actually show that earliest doesn't necessarily mean the best. You have to compare it with the other witnesses. That's why I say on a consensual basis, is this what was actually written or was this an outlier? That's why I brought that up.
Well, it can't be an outlier if the first one and the second one, literally the 2 earliest that we see, and I partially agree with you that earliest doesn't necessarily mean the best, but it can't be an outlier if the first one and the second one and one of the earliest ones, being the Syriac Sinaiticus, all 3 say the exact same thing, which is Jacob begat Joseph and Joseph begat Jesus. It's not an outlier. 3 of them say it.
But 3 out of how many manuscripts and translations? Thousands.
I don't know.
That's
do you know how many?
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Outlier.
I know what that word outlier means, but do you know? Yeah. But here's the thing, right? So I just quoted 3 off the top of my head. The first, number 1, the gold medal and the silver medal, both say that Jacob begot Joseph and Joseph begot Jesus, right? So
Right.
you would have to then give me a number. Well, how many say otherwise? You would have to provide that number, because I'm giving you the number of the first two that say otherwise.
Well, I don't have any off the top of my, well, I have one, but I don't agree with it, but still it doesn't really hurt my case to use it, the Codex Sinaiticus. It says the same thing that the Texas Receptus says. The only variation that you'll find is in verse 25. So I don't know if you want to, in verse 25, that's the only variation that you'll find from the Byzantine text form to the Codex Sinaiticus is verse 25 itself. All throughout, it's the exact same.
Okay. I don't want to get too much into. I want to basically expand.
I know you don't got too much time.
Yeah. But real quick though. So then, how would you deal with a text like in Hebrews chapter 2 when it says, "It behooved Christ to be made like his brethren in all things"?
Now, this is one of the easiest verses to debunk. Now, since they want to go to the original language, well, Hebrews 2:16 says, well, the all things points to what was stated in verse 14, where it says that he took on flesh and blood. So the way I do this to the Israelites, LJ, I read verse 14. It says, the children were partakers of flesh and blood. He himself also likewise took on flesh and blood. So I read it back for them. I say, it doesn't say the children took on mommy and daddy. So Christ also took on mommy and daddy. It simply says flesh and blood. And the word was with God, the word was God, and then the word was made flesh. So it was all about the word becoming flesh. That was big news. Not about mommy and daddy.
There's also a verse in John, I think it's in John, that John the Baptist states. No, I think it might be in Matthew itself. John the Baptist states it, and he says, let me see if I can find it. It's either in Matthew or Luke. All right, yeah. So it's in Matthew 3, verse 9. And John the Baptist is talking to the Pharisees and Sadducees. And he says, and think not to say within yourselves, we have Abraham to our father.
Right.
For I say to you that God is able to make of stones to rise up as children unto Abraham. So God can do anything. And he could literally make a stone into a child of Abraham. No blood, no mother, father. And he can make a child unto Abraham from a stone.
LJ,
we don't need it.
LJ, I read that to an Israelite, and he told me the stones were symbolic of people.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. So I just booted him. All right, brother. Have a good day. Have a blessed day.
Yeah.
I just booted him out. All right. He pissed me off. Yeah. So that's what some of them would do there. And so I said, okay. So when we talk about throwing stones, they're throwing people at women. Oh my God, these guys just won't stop, man.
How do you interpret all things?
All things is in the context. What's the context talking about? You go to verse 9,
The
it's speaking about
seed of Abraham.
No. When you go to the context, it's speaking about in terms of salvation, in terms of all the things that he went through in his life. It behooved him in this way for this reason. You got to pay attention to those words because there's adverbs there that says like.
So this conversation is better off if they both have a Bible in their hand. So I would have avoided this one as well. I would have shelved this one like we did Papyrus 1, because some arguments, LJ, are better explained. You could explain it and it's good. Some arguments is better to show them where they could read with you. So I think this is one of those arguments that he would need a Bible in his hand to read with me. So when I go read verse 14, he could see it.
I've just noticed something as well at Unbiased. Go to Matthew, that verse that I just stated, Matthew 3. Which one was it? 3:9, Matthew 3:9. And I don't know if you can bring this up in maybe into Bible Hub and have a look at the the word stone there in Bible Hub under the Strong's definition, and you'll see something quite interesting that's used. Yeah, blue letter or. So let's go to. So go to the word with lithio or for stones.
Okay. The
Lithos.
Yeah.
Yeah. And its usage there. Go down, biblical usage. Metaphor of Christ. So the stone is Christ. So literally, God can raise up Christ from among the literal stones.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, I'm gonna use that too. I'm gonna go back to that argument where he can raise up when they complain about a woman that don't, in their words, seed. It's like, well, you could raise up. Do stones have seed? All right.
Unto his brethren means like, not the same thing. When you use like or as, it doesn't mean those things are necessarily the exact same thing. So that's what you have to be careful about too as well.
So he's not like, so he's not made like his brethren.
He's similar.
Romans 8.
That's what like
in
means.
what respect?
Like means similar. Huh?
How is he similar? And like, how is he similar?
That he had flesh. He was tempted in every which way we were. You know, these various
but
things.
But it said all things, though. So
yeah,
so
but
what does
those,
it mean?
you can't misinterpret.
Now that's a simple understanding to have. So LJ, do he think all Israelites are 6'5", or could they be or in shape, or have perfect teeth and have perfect eyes, not cross-eyed? So, brother, you mean to tell me that there was no retarded Israelites? So you mean to tell me he was made like there was no handicapped, paralyzed, paraplegic Israelites? So he was made like them too? Like, come on, bro. What about their mind state? They were wicked Israelites. So he was made like them. That is a simplistic, all things. Are you serious, bro? So they had gap teeth, bad breath. Stupid. But it tells you in verse 14 what all things were.
He's similar.
You can't. But look, this is what the Christians do too. I hold myself to be a Christian, but not in the sense everybody else takes it. When they say I can do all things through Christ, which strengthens me, they take that to mean get rich, get women, get this, get that, everything outside of the context of what Paul says. So all things is always qualified inside of the context. That's why I say it's in the context.
True.
And the context is not having a mother and father.
The context is how his brethren are made. It behooved him, Hebrews chapter 2, verse 16, for truly he took not on him the nature of angels. This is the context.
So, you know, it's funny that word made is to exist, right? So he came to exist like his brethren. So like we can stop this right now. So let's go to Hebrews 2. That's why I don't go to the Greek first. They always do it before me. And then once they do it, you know, they messed up. We're going to stay there now. So now I'm going to be technical. Okay, so now let's go into made. All right. I would say, brother, when it says made, what does that mean? All right. So okay. So we got to be made like, to liken, compare. He was made, look at this, liken, like in the likeness of. So when you go to Romans 8 and 3, for what the law could not do, in that it was weak through the flesh, God sending his own son. So how do you send somebody who's not there yet, who needs to be born? So God sent his son in the likeness of sinful flesh. Okay, so he's in the likeness of sinful flesh, and for sin, condemned in sin in the flesh. He's like his brothers. He look like them, but he's not like them. Okay, you got parables, and when they say the king, or how about the kingdom of heaven is likened to this? Does that mean they're the same thing, or that means they're similar in the way it's being described? So he's kind of like retarded to think all things really means every last thing.
Context, how Christ was made.
Right.
That's the context right here. The
Right,
flesh that Christ came in. He wasn't made like an angel, like Gabriel.
But like I said, verse 14, if he tries that with me, he ain't gonna like it, because verse 14 pretty much tell you.
Michael.
Right.
He took on him the seed, the sperma of Abraham. Sperm. That's what the Greek word there is for seed.
Not the sperm doctrine. They always do that. Hey, LG, one time I was in Starbucks with a debate, because I had a debate and I couldn't make it home fast enough. He's like, I'm ready. So I pulled in Starbucks, LG. They already got the music in there, and that noise the hell out you. That's all way too loud. But then they want to pull out sperma in Starbucks. So I'm over here, sperma, and they looking like, oh my I'm like, you queer dude, you got me saying sperma loud as hell in here. I'm looking crazy. And I got my son with me, so I'm looking like really like crazy. Yeah, so now, but look at all the points where he let Hasad drag him to. So they was at begot. He took him from begot. He went to Isaiah 7. And then they went from there to the fulfillment, and then they went to somewhere else, and now we're at Hebrews 2. Now we're leaving Hebrews 2 to talk about sperm.
So you believe
what
took on
sperm?
him? So you're
what
saying
sperm was involved to make Jesus then?
You're saying Abraham's sperm was involved to make Jesus?
No, what I'm saying is, well, of course, we know through the Bible, the seed of Abraham just means a actual physical descendant of Abraham.
Yo, why did they do that? They all do that. They all says seed is sperm, and then when you challenge them, they will agree with you and say it just means descendant. And then it's like, okay, I'm glad you corrected yourself. Auto correction, Microsoft Word. And then they will go back and say it means sperm again. So I'm like, brother, I thought you just said it meant descendant. Now you're saying sperm. Which one? Are they synonymous?
Are they literally understanding the Greek word sperma to be the English word sperm? There's just a direct translation of each.
Yeah, that's what they think.
Even though they're completely different. And sperm is an English word which we derive from the Greek sperma.
Like how many hundreds of years later,
But it doesn't mean the same thing. The Greek sperma doesn't mean that.
Right.
But like you say, they're asserting it for one way, which it must be for Jesus. Then back at Abraham, it must be descendant. But then go back to Jesus and say it must be sperm. That's
why I like to
disingenuous.
I like to say, brother, if you're defining a word, then the definition is definite. Okay? That's what definitions mean. This is definite. It's not going to change. It is that. So when we read seed and you're telling me it means sperm, then that means it definitely means sperm. That's the definition, right? Okay. Now we can take our seed and put the definite definition there, and it still makes sense. We can just put sperm there, and it's perfect.
No. Okay? And now we're going to change it again, the definition of it. As soon as you bring up Genesis 3:15, and the seed of the woman, it's now going to mean something slightly different again here.
They 100%, every last one of them, affirm, definitely made an absolute statement. It means sperm. I say, brother, you're going to retract that. You sure? Yeah. Okay. Genesis 3:15. And they all say descendants. It's like, well, why'd you definitely say sperm? And then someone had challenged the serpent, someone had challenged Eve, and I just bring them to verse 1, show them the context all the way to 15. Brother, we're still talking about the serpent, we're still talking about Adam, we're still talking about Eve. Okay, where did it change to somebody else? And then guess what? It goes on to talk about Eve, because remember, he said Eve is the mother of all living things later on in the passage. I think maybe 25, somewhere later on, it talks about Eve again. Okay, so yeah, so the sperm doctrine, let me see where they go with it.
Abraham, which this is why the Bible goes so far out of its way to establish Joseph as a son of David. But
But
nonetheless,
but
it's
is
sperm.
Mary the
So
seed of
what
Abraham?
sperm? I'm sorry. So,
Is is Mary the seed of Abraham?
but she doesn't have sperm, so that's not that's not that's a
No,
null
no,
and
but
void point.
you said seed means descendant, and I'm
Yeah,
asking.
Elder, you see it? So he just said seed meant descendant, and then say is married to the seed of Abraham. Yeah, but she don't have sperm, bro. You just said sperm meant. You just said seed meant descendant. Now you're saying it means sperm. All right. Before we go any further, let's establish. I'm going with you. Whatever you say it means that. But let's be consistent. Let's apply everywhere seed is there as that definition. Does seed mean sperm or descendant? Are you telling me these are interchangeable? They're synonymous. You could take one out, put the other one in, and still make sense? No? Okay, so let's stick with one definition. Does it mean seed or sperm? Okay, and this is where they all get tripped up. But now, what I can do is, if these guys are on the panel, I could just end this out real fast with them. Sakari, I just go to Gorilla Hebrew with Sam Shimon and play their leader, saying it means descendants. All right, descendants. After Sam Shimon challenged him, he did what he's doing, but he stuck with just descendants.
Asking, is Mary the seed of Abraham?
Sure, but again, seed means sperm.
Okay.
So what?
Oh my God, LJ, did he just say it? Yeah, I didn't know he was this stupid. I like I said, it's my first time listening to this. I gotta make a short out of this. I gotta make a short. This guy just said seed meant descendant. No, he said it meant sperm, and then he got challenged. He said, "No, we know it means descendants," and now he's saying it means sperm again. This is why none of these guys are bright.
Sperm wasn't. So hold on. What sperm was involved? What sperm was used to create Jesus?
I'm confused. You just said seed meant descendant. Now you're saying sperm. Which is it?
It's simple. So he's the descendant of Abraham.
It's simple. I'm making sure of this. I can't wait till this is over.
It's not literally
Descendant.
saying
Okay, descendant.
Abraham's
Okay,
sperm,
descendant.
but hold on. I'm answering. A sperm of someone from the descent of Abraham. So what sperm of someone from the descent of Abraham was used to create Jesus?
That means that you're reading sperma twice in there. Sperm is there once, so it's either descendant or sperm. Yeah, it's either descendant or
no,
sperm.
I'm not. It's context. So context will show you, and the Greek and the language will show you. Sperm, the sperma is the word that's used for seed of Abraham. What does it mean to be of the seed of Abraham? What does it mean that you?
Oh, it means sperm. You said sperm. It means sperm. You're from Abraham's biological. You're this direct son or daughter.
You literally came. Like, for example, let me just show you.
It needs to be an offspring, right?
Yeah. Now I get it. Meech is being nice to him because he wasn't planned to be here, Hasad. So Meech is trying to set up a situation where Hasad comes back. So that's why he ain't pressing too hard. He's hoping that he'll come back. But they did come back, but they didn't come back on a live. They called them directly, and Meech, I don't know why we do this. LJ, man, if you contact me and it's a debate, and I know you don't believe like me, it's always recorded. I will never have a free debate with somebody. Like, I'm talking about free of recording. Never, because it's fruitless. So if we're going to have a debate, I want people to see it and be judged, because I'm going to be biased for me. You're biased for you. So what's the point of us having a discussion? And I don't think you're genuine at all. So I'm going to make you a public example. I'm going to record it, post it like I'm doing right now, and then let the people decide, especially after a reaction. All right. So Meech talks to these guys a lot of times, and none of them were recorded. I'm like, why? And now they don't want to talk to him at all now. So they squeeze the lemon dry, and they're like, okay, bye. And there's no record of anything that was discussed. That's not how I do it. If you contact me, and you disagree with me, it's always recorded. Even my phone records. Yeah, so we're not doing that, because you're not going to go back what you said. and act like you never said what you said. You will be held accountable when you talk to me. Every word you say. I'm like, when they say you got the right to remain silent, but everything you say can be used, yeah, that's me. You don't got to talk to me, but if you do, everything you say will be used against you in a debate.
Let me show you. Let me show you though, right? For example,
Okay.
let me get
Romans 1 and 3.
No, I know that's probably where you thought I was going, but for example, this is John chapter 8, verse 33.
Perfect.
This is what the Jews said when Christ said, "We shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free." And then the Jews responded,
Right.
John 8 and 33. Then answered we him. They answered him, "We be Abraham's seed, and were never in bondage to any man." Does that mean that they are literally saying that they came from the sperm of the literal man Abraham? Well, one, yes, because not literally in the way that they were made did it come from literally the man Abraham, but from Isaac and then Jacob and then his descendants.
Yeah, this guy.
That's what it means. They came from the sperm of Abraham, and then somebody from the sperm of Abraham's sperm created them. Can we agree?
But you need more than sperm for a descendant, right? I can agree if you say, yeah, we need egg too. And sperma doesn't necessarily just mean the sperm. It means the product of sperm.
Okay, so what product of sperm or what sperm did Jesus come from?
What sperm?
Yeah, do you hear this fool? This is a fool. Then he goes back and says sperm again. It's like, bro, where do you read Jesus come from sperm? Pause, man. All this queer talk. Come on.
What sperm? Yeah.
So our position is that God used his creative power, and actually it even talks about how the Holy Spirit prepared the body of Christ, which is even more according to the gospel narrative, that there was no sperm needed when God literally made those constructs that we live inside of today. So he can break those rules and do what he wants. So we don't believe that there was any.
I didn't hear.
Yeah, we don't believe that there was any type of sperm involved with from
how?
the inception of Christ.
If he's of the sperm of Abraham, how can you believe there's no sperm involved if he's of the sperm of Abraham?
And then he goes back and says sperm of Abraham. Yo, oh my God. Please let this guy try that with me. Please.
Because we just qualified that sperm doesn't, or sperma doesn't mean sperm. It means offspring, it means descendants.
Again, contextually, as you just said, in order for you to be of the seed of Abraham, you have to be of the offspring, yes, but then the sperm of the offspring Abraham has to be used for you to exist.
All right, so that's when I'm going to do the equal, the equal to. Greater than, less than, or equal to. Brother, are you saying sperm and descendants are synonymous? They're interchangeable? No. Okay, cool. Are you saying sperm, the definition of sperm, I'm sorry, the definition of seed is sperm. Are you saying that? No. Okay, so let's stop using those two words interchangeably. All right, let's stop with that trickery stuff. Let's just go with what we agreed to. The descendants, Jesus will be a descendant of Abraham. Jesus will be a descendant of David. Jesus will be a descendant of David. Okay. Okay. Oh my God.
And that doesn't necessitate just because this is how it's been, that this is how it needs to be.
I wasn't expecting him to be as dumb as the other ones, but it doesn't surprise me.
Especially according to God. This is a work. This is a sign that God said he himself would send. And you said clearly it was fulfilled in Matthew 1. So this is a sign that God himself you will perform.
So how? Okay.
Oh, give me 1 second, brother. I'm sorry.
How do you determine? How?
All right, I'm listening. My bad. I'm up here at work, so if I just go on mute for a quick second, don't mind me.
No problem. This will be my last question. How do you define, or how do you determine what one's tribe is in the Bible?
I hope he ain't go down this.
Okay. Before I answer that, I just want to let you know, I hit you up on Instagram to have this discussion. If you want to actually do a full live discussion next time, you get more time. But
no problem.
How you determine is usually by the Father, but there are there are circumstances where the mother actually determines the tribe. First Chronicles 2 and 34, to be exact.
Okay.
Oh my God, I cannot believe Meech he let it all out. This discussion. Oh, he let him have all of the points for free. Hasad didn't work for anything. Oh my God.
That's with the Egyptian woman.
No, the Egyptian father and the Judah.
No, he's talking about Numbers 27. I think that's what, or Numbers Leviticus 27. I think he was thinking of. Or was it Numbers 27? I forgot.
Right,
Oh, sorry, the Egyptian father of the son of an Israelitish woman.
Right.
See, look, Hasad's thinking Leviticus 27. He's not thinking First Chronicles.
Yep.
Yeah, that's gonna be very. My brother, I got love for you. That's gonna be very bad for you to go there. But I'm gonna show you kind of why. Just first,
So at least he didn't know what Meech was talking about. That's the great thing. That's the great thing. He had no idea what he was talking about. He went to the wrong passage. He went to the same passage that stupid IBM and stupid Apostle went to.
Hold on 1 second. Let me get this. So here's why that's bad. Because you said some. Well, one, the Bible tells you in Numbers 1 and Ezra 2 and 59 that your seed is your lineage in terms of what tribe you are is determined based upon your father. That's number one. But number two, we see Hiram, king of Tyre. I don't know if you're familiar with this. His mother is an Israelite. Are you aware of that?
Now he might have made that up, LJ.
I'd have to check that.
Yeah. So let me. He said, "King of who?"
Pyra, I think.
I don't even know how to spell that. Let me see. Let me get his name again. What name did he say? Because he openly lied about everything else. I can't take his word.
Hello?
Yeah, King of Tyre, I think. I'm not sure of the verse.
Hello?
King Tyree. King of Tyree, I think. Let's see. Oh yeah, here we go. Hiram, the king of Tyre. So I want to see his mom. Do we see mom? All right, because you can't believe anything they say. But I'm so glad he's giving his information up too. All right, okay. So the king of Tyre, Haram. Okay. I don't see mom here. Hopefully we get some information here. So he said Haram's mom is an Israelite. He said that.
Of Israel, yeah, that's what he's saying.
Yeah. So I want to know where he got that from. So let's follow this name then. Let's follow this name. Hiram, king of Tyre. Hiram. Okay, Hiram's mother was a widow from the tribe of Naphtali. His father was a Tyrian and a master worker in bronze. Hiram was a real artist. He could do anything. Okay, so here we go. First Kings 7:14. Okay, he was a widow. Okay, let's go. And King Solomon and fetched Hiram out of Tyre. He was a widow's son of the tribe of Naphtali. Because usually when they give additional information, usually it works for me. I rarely see them mention something I'm not aware of that it works for them. So we got 2 Chronicles 3:15. All right. So King Solomon sent and fetched Hiram out of Tyre. He was a widow's son of the tribe of Naphtali, and his father was a man of Tyre. Okay. A worker in brass, and he was filled with wisdom and understanding and cunning. Okay. So he says man of Tyre. That's not really telling us much. And why? So what identity is given him? So now let's see what identity he's given. We got to start there. We can't assume he's okay. So the king of Tyre who sent workmen and materials to Jerusalem to build the place for David and temple of Solomon. The chief architect engineer of Solomon's temple sent by King Hiram to Solomon. So it's not really saying what he is. Yeah, I don't read what he is. It just say Hiram, the king of Tyre.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure of what his actual point is going to be here. Is it that the he's classified as his father, not the woman,
Yeah,
even though she's of being an Israelite. So
yeah.
he's not classed as an Israelite, even though his mom is. That's going to be the argument, isn't it?
So let's see.
We see Hiram, king of Tyre. I don't know if you're familiar with this. His mother is an Israelite. Are you aware of that? Hello?
I guess he went on mute.
Hey, one second.
He said he's at work. He said he's at work. Okay. My bad. Like I said, we can end on this because I know you at work, but I want to show you something, brother. Where does it say king? Did you hear my question though?
Yeah. Say it one more time.
So are you familiar with King Hiram in the Bible, the king of Tyre?
No. Well, I'm familiar with him, but I don't know exactly where you're going. Go ahead.
Okay, let me show you, right? So 1 Kings chapter 7, and let me show you this, brother.
Dang, he would save me time. He actually, so now it's funny, he actually pulls out a passage.
Kings 7 and 14. This is what I'm looking for. 1 Kings.
Looks like he do got some material with him, so he could have shown that Pappers won.
7 and 14. It says, I'm sorry, verse 13. It says, and King Solomon sent and fetched Hiram out of Tyre. He was a widow's son of the tribe of Naphtali, and his father was a man of Tyre, a worker in brass, and he was filled with wisdom. Now, when you can keep reading this, King Solomon entered into a covenant with Hiram, and he helped him build the first temple. Are we following? We agree with that?
I'm listening. Yeah, go ahead.
But do you agree, though? I want to make sure that if not, then I want to discuss that. But do you agree?
Yeah, if you're reading it, it's in the Bible. I agree. Yeah.
Okay. So here's why I go over here, right? So when you read in Amos, it says, "For 3 transgressions of Tyre, I will not turn away the punishment thereof, because they led away the captivity to Edom." Now, and it says, and they broke the brotherly covenant. Now it's talking to Tyre and Zidon, specifically Tyre, and it says Tyre broke the brotherly covenant, the nation of Tyre.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what brotherly covenant is it referring to? The covenant that King Solomon entered with King Hiram. So it regards Hiram as Tyre, despite the fact that his mother is a Israelite from the tribe of Naphtali.
Okay.
So it doesn't call him an Israelite, it calls him Tyre, a heathen.
Okay. I wouldn't necessarily disagree with that. If that's the synopsis of the scripture, I wouldn't necessarily disagree. I would have to look at it because I've never seen that. You said that was over in Amos 3?
No
that
problem
was the,
whatsoever.
Judgments?
No.
You said
No.
Unbiased.
Repeat that one more time. I'm sorry, brother.
You said that was the Judgments in Amos.
Yeah.
In the parallel passage it doesn't really show anything at the moment. I'm going to go look at this a little bit more, but in 2 Chronicles 2:14, she's actually called of the woman of the daughters of Dan. So she's from two different tribes being recorded in the Bible. So there's clearly something there that is of interest. So I'll look into that. But she's recorded as being from two different tribes, which is impossible to be under their understanding anyway as well. So we have to look into that a little bit.
All right. Yeah. Yeah. Meech never told me that one. That he stumped on that one.
Yeah, Second Chronicles 2:14. She's called
That
the
was
daughters of Dan.
Yeah, I'm gonna definitely take a look at that myself.
Yeah, there's more to it than just that. So
All right. Okay, let me play.
no Amos. Hold on, is it
Amos,
Amos 1?
Amos 1. I think that's where the judgments are. Yeah, Amos 1.
Brotherly covenant. When it talks about, I think it's Amos 1 and like 9 or something like that.
Okay, yeah, no, I'm
Amos
gonna
1
have to
and
go
9.
check
Yes,
that
sir.
out.
Right here. Amos 1 and 9. Uh-huh.
Yeah. I never seen that connected that way, so I'm gonna have to go check that out.
And somehow he never told me about it. That's interesting.
Yeah,
No
man,
problem.
that was a
And
good little
I
point.
appreciate
That's a good little
King.
point.
Yeah, and 1 second, bro. Let me say this too before we get off. There's a whole bunch of times when I talk to stupid ass people and they make no points, and it's just dumb. But one thing I can say, brother, is even in the conversation where I vehemently disagree with you, it's not like the points that you're coming to and the conclusions that you're coming to are just based off of nothing. You know what I mean? So it's good to, even though I disagree with you, to have a conversation with somebody who is making at least valid claims, even though they're wrong. I love you, but they're wrong. So I appreciate you, and I appreciate your humility, bro, to even say, you know what, I got to look at that. That's honorable, and I really do appreciate that, my brother. I don't know what your schedule is looking like this week, but I would definitely love to have a dialogue in depth with you concerning this matter.
Yeah, hey, I'm free. I know you're East Coast, right?
Yeah, I'm 3 out. What time zone you living in?
Hey, I'm in Japan time. I'm over here in Japan, so we flip 100%.
Oh,
So
Genki desu ka? Oh, Nissan, Genki desu ka?
Oh, I don't speak Japanese.
Oh, damn! You know what's crazy? I speak Japanese, bro. I'm not even bullshitting you. So, but it's all good. Yeah.
Daijoubu, arigato gozaimasu. That's it.
Daijoubu. Okay, you basically, I'm okay. I'm okay, and thank you. Yeah, I got you. Okay. No problem.
Yeah.
But all right, my brother, check this out, bro. You got my contact on Instagram. Just hit me up, brother, and we can definitely set something up for the future, bro. No problem.
Yeah, for sure. I'm free. Your Monday night and your Tuesday night if you got time. So I'll probably.
And you know, it's funny that right now I sent him an inbox like months ago that he never responded. He never even looked at it, LJ, because like we did have a. Now I'm gonna show you my conversation. It went a little different than that. Okay. All right. So you still there? You still there, LJ?
yeah, I'm still listening.
Okay. So now check this out. So after that, they had about 2 more conversations. I had one. So me and him was going back and forth in the inbox on Facebook. So then he finally let me convince him to let me call him from Facebook. We had one conversation, LJ, and he never responded to me ever again to this day. If I could show my Facebook right now, you will see me responding to him. Matter of fact, let me do that. I'm gonna show my Facebook inbox. He didn't even look at it, LJ. And you would think that we did. So keep in mind, we spoke on Facebook and I called him from Facebook. After I called him, I wanted to like follow up with him, and he didn't even look at it after our conversation. Right, hold on. Nah, I ain't gonna waste too much time. Let me go into what I want to go into. Our, because this is 27, about the same time. All right, check this out, LJ. Check out our conversation. All right, so I'm gonna call him in a second. Let me. All right, here we go. All right, so everybody see, I'm calling Hasad Sakar.
Hey, what's up, brother? What's going on?
Yeah. So there are like what I do is I like read. Sometimes I wake up through. So now I'm gonna like Meech a little bit. I'm gonna play possum a little bit like Meech, and I'm gonna gradually get aggressive. 3 o'clock in the morning, right? and I wouldn't go to bed. I'll just get the Bible and I'll just read, until the time I was supposed to wake up, right? I've been doing this all like probably a year, not every day, but some days. So it dawned on me, a light bulb clicked, and it said, you know what? Not every time somebody's listed as a father through sex. So there's two other ways you could be listed as a parent, and I'm sure you are aware of them. You probably never put them together, or maybe you did. So there's a law of marriage, right? So you could become a father, a mother, a son, or a daughter through the law of marriage, right? So, but you're still considered the father. You're still considered the mother. You're still considered the son, and the daughter is called. It just like the laws. So you're the father, but it says law. You're the mother, it says law. You're the son, you're the daughter, but you're the daughter, you're the son, and you're the father, no matter what. And then there's another way outside of sex. We know sex is clear. When you look at Moses, right? So if you raise up a boy or a daughter as your own, you become their father, not sexually, not biologically, but you become listed like that's your title, right? So if you look at Moses and Pharaoh's daughter, you're aware of that. If you look at Naomi and Ruth, right? At some point in the book of Ruth, she stopped calling her daughter-in-law and flat out called her daughter. Like the word law was out, it was omitted. So if you look at Genesis 15, verse 2, right? I think I'm continuing with a conversation we had in the inbox. I think I think I told him it'd be better if I explained it, verbally. And was getting lack of faith of a promise, of a son, right? Heirs to the promises, right? That God said he will pass on to his kids. So he had a little lack of faith, and he wanted to pass it off to his servant. He wanted his servant to be his heir. And the Most High said, so that means, well, the fact you even could do that, lets you know that it's possible. But the Most High said, no. I'm going to pass, the heirship, the inheritance to your kid, like coming from you, like physically. And this is why I would say that that the angel had urged Joseph to marry Mary. So not only will he become the father-in-law, the father through law, but also the father through raising him as his own. And from that, he will obviously be an heir to the throne.
Yeah, I 100% disagree, and I think it makes no sense with the context of the story, and there's no scriptural evidence for that at all. Not even like, I don't mean to be disrespectful, but it's as wrong as saying the sky is not blue.
All right, so let me just give me a second. Let me just open up online Bible. And like this, I don't expect you to agree. I want to see if you just see if it just makes sense from the way I put it together, right?
No.
Okay.
No, it doesn't.
All right, so let me go to Matthew 1 because it starts from here. So it says the book of the generation. Right, LJ, when he said that, I ain't gonna lie, he pissed me off. So when you piss me off as an Israelite, as one of these goofy One West guys, I'm gonna bring you to Matthews. I'm gonna bring you to Matthews. You pissed me off, said Jesus Christ. So we both agree that this is Jesus Christ's generation, and you can look at generation as a genealogy as well, right? So now, let me just say this, and tell me if you agree. To make a generation, it's going to establish a parent and an offspring. So you got Abraham and Isaac. That's the first generation in the genealogy, right?
Yeah. Did Abraham have sex with Sarah to make Isaac? Of course.
Now, look, I'm 100%. If you ask that question with everybody, I'm gonna say yes, except for Jesus. And just hear me out.
Why does it skip why does it mysteriously no now when it comes to Christ?
All right. So, like for example, I'm sure you're studied enough to know this. Maybe not. I mean, you don't know everything, but I think you are well studied. You know that it lists 41 generations here, not 42, like 17 says, right?
I didn't count.
Okay. So anyway, so let me just say, verse 17 That was a gotcha. Yeah, I ain't gonna lie. That was a gotcha. I had to try to humble him a little bit because he's a little too proud. And it's kind of like making me like be aggressive. Just simply says, I'm trying to keep my composure so I can have a dialogue, brotherly dialogue. But he's starting to get me, it don't take much, too much arrogance and gonna get me crazy. So all the generations from Adam to David are 14 generations, and then from David until Babylon's 14 and 28, and then it says 14 from Babylon to Christ. That's just 42, right? So if you actually count them, and that's why I was trying to let you know in advance that a generation is going to be parent offspring. So Abraham's the first parent, Isaac's the first offspring, so that's the first generation. And then it says Isaac, Jacob. If you just count that to David, that's 14. And if you go from there, from Babylon to I might be blowing it. If you go from Solomon to Babylon, I think it is, that's 14 again. And if you go 14 after that, it'll lead up to Christ. Right? So it's definitely 40. But Christ is a tricky part. So if you just Google it, it's 41 generations listed, but verse 17 says it gotta be 42. And every generation is from parent to offspring. So now if you look at verse 16, so the scholars are confused at verse 16. It's like a lot of controversy. Because it said Jacob begot Joseph, that's like that's 11 and 12. Jacob is 11 as from Babylon. Let me say that. Coming from Babylon, if you count from there, Jacob is 11 and Joseph is 12. Okay. So Jesus will be 14, but there's no generation, like there's no begot Jesus here. So you have Mary.
That's not true.
Here we go. So if you look at Mary, it says Mary is of born of Jesus, right? Because only women could, born and birth people. So it established so it actually 42. So the 42-1 is Mary to Jesus. So it switches from, and I kind of skipped because I'm like out of breath, but let me just say this. It could be a parent offspring or parents and offspring. Because as you know, when mothers are listed, a couple times in the earlier chapters, right? So, but it established a father offspring. It established father, mother offspring, like let's say Ruth. And then it established just a mother offspring in 16. So Mary and Jesus will be 13, 14.
Okay. I mean, I'd have to look into that. I mean, just bluntly, that has absolutely no right whatsoever to whether or not Joseph is the father of Christ, though. You do realize that?
No, because if you look at this English translation, right, it says, how much time do you have?
Not a lot.
Okay, so I end it right there because it is late and I am watching the game. So I want to respect it. I said 5 minutes. And I want to respect your time. I don't want to, be selfish. So let's just end it right there. And
well, I just wanted to just respond briefly to what you said.
Sure.
Matthew 1 and 6, in one of the oldest translations of the Bible from the Syriac Sinaiticus, it literally tells you, and Jacob begat Joseph, the husband of Mary, of whom was born Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I seen y'all video on that, and that's not a translation.
That is a translation.
No, that's the English translation. So, like you said, the Sinaiticus is the oldest translation.
Yeah, the Syriac Sinaiticus is it's a document.
Right.
It's an document.
Right.
When translated into English, it says again, Jacob was the father of Joseph, to whom the Virgin Mary was betrothed. Was the father of Jesus. It just literally said Joseph is the father of Jesus. Like you can respond to that, but still,
I agree with what you said. I agree 100%. But what I'm saying is this: I'm saying that's a bad translation of the actual translation. So the actual Syriac, because when I watched that, I was interested. I'm like, damn, they got me. But when I looked into it, the Syriac does not have that. That bad English translation has that. So there's no existing Syriac that has that Joseph there twice. There's not one.
It doesn't say Joseph twice.
Okay, so let me just go for English. So it says Jacob begot Joseph, and you're saying that English version says what?
You're asking. What are you asking right now,
So
brother?
what I'm saying, the English version, it shows Jacob begot Joseph, the husband of Mary, of whom was born Jesus. So what's the addition that the English translation is saying?
What do you mean? What's the addition?
Because you said somehow Joseph is the father from that English translation, and like what wording was for the?
No, from the Old Syriac Sinaiticus, that it's been translated into English as Jacob was the father of Joseph, to whom the Virgin Mary was betrothed, was the father of Jesus.
Okay, so what I'm saying is that father thing you're saying, that's not in the Syriac anywhere.
Can you prove that?
Okay, so let me start with here.
Well, no, but can you
Yeah,
prove
yeah,
that
yeah,
though? You just
yeah. So that's what I'm saying. Like I want to start right here. So
no. I'm saying, brother, can you go into the Syriac Sinaiticus and show me how the word father is absent there?
at this current moment, no, because I'm on a fly, right? But I do want to say this though. So the English translation, you agree, is a translation of the Syriac translation, right?
I don't know what I would assume it was written. I don't know what language it was.
No, I'm saying like Syriac was a translation of the original Greek, and then the English.
Well, I don't believe that it's originally written in Greek. I believe it was written in Hebrew. So yeah, it's a translation.
Okay, so what I mean is that the Syriac is called a translation. That's what I'm going to, right?
Okay,
And the English is called translation. So nobody really translate from a translation, right? When you translate, it's from the original text.
that's not true.
So you can translate from a translation.
Yep.
Well, this guy said you can translate from a translation. And then he said the Syriac Sinaiticus, you heard, so I got him to say the Syriac Sinaiticus was translated from a Hebrew version of Matthew's. Okay. So I'm extracting from him without giving him any information. Okay. I'm extracting from him without giving him anything. All right. I don't want to, I don't want him to know I know Greek, any of those things. So I got him to stand on something. He made the claim that the Syriac translation was translated from the original Hebrew Matthews. And I can imagine Gospels. Good luck proving that. And good luck finding this mysterious Hebrew gospel. Good luck with that as well. I don't know what Bible manuscript would actually do that. But
well, guess what? The one that you're reading, the King James version.
no, the King James translates from the Texas Receptus. It goes to the Greek. Greek.
Okay, and what does the Greek come from?
Nah, the Greek is that's the oldest. So if you go to like the ancient
Revelation. When you do research on how the Book of Revelation was translated, man's name who translated the Book of Revelation.
All right, so now this is weird claim he just went out of nowhere. He made this weird claim, and when I researched it was like no results found. So he's gonna make this weird claim about how Revelation came about, and I'm telling you, I went to go research that. Like what the, like they just say random shit to like bluff you because it's like what? All right, let me go back
How the Book of Revelation was translated
to like the ancient.
Revelation. When you do research on how the Book of Revelation was translated, man's name who translated the Book of Revelation, he translated it from Latin to Greek to English.
All right, so there you go. So he said Revelations came to English from Latin. Okay, so here's the thing. It's like, dude, before it got to, so let's say if that's right. Let's say if it went from Latin to Greek to English. Brother, where did where did they get it from Latin? Like the Latin was the Latin, they copied it in Latin from where? That's the whole point. So are you telling me there's a Latin original revelation? Is that your claim? Is your claim that Revelation was originally written in Latin?
This claim, unbiased, is he's completely misunderstood an argumentation. When Erasmus originally wrote the Textus Receptus, when he did his first version, because he did 5 versions of the Textus Receptus, in his first one, he used a few manuscripts because he was trying to get the translation out really quick. So he only had access to a certain amount of manuscripts. When he was translating the Book of Revelation, in his first of the 5 translations, there was the ending of the Book of Revelation, which I think it's the last verse of the Book of Revelation. It's not the Book of Revelation, it's the last verse. He didn't have the manuscript that he translated didn't have that particular verse in the Greek. So he utilized the Latin for that one verse in that one translation to finish off basically the last verse of the Textus Receptus. So he back translated it from the Latin into Greek because that was what he was. But it was only one verse, and it was only for that one edition. He later then did his later translations where he utilized more manuscripts and he had more time. So he's completely misunderstood somebody's claim about the Book of Revelation. It was one verse.
And yeah, because I tried to Google something like what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he
So-
never claimed that the Latin was the original. All he did was he utilized the Latin in order to finish off that one verse for that particular one. But then he continued on and created 4 more versions of the Textus Receptus, where he utilized more Greek manuscripts, where he had more access. That was all.
Right. And
So
even
he's completely misunderstood that argument.
yeah, but he's even double retarded because LJ, my point was to even get it to Latin in the first place, that Latin had to come from the Greek. So my argument was the original gospels were in Greek. So if there's a translation to English, whether you back translate to Latin, back to this, it all starts from Greek. There
All
is
starts
no
in Greek.
right. That's where I was going. Like,
Yeah.
so saying with his Syriac translation, that's a translation, and the English is a translation for translation. So I'm like, when do we do translations of translations? So I guess he's going to that one verse, but the point is, we don't do that. No, they don't do that and be taken serious. But also, this all comes from Greek. He said Hebrew. I know they come from Hebrew, but I didn't want to really go down that rabbit hole with him because he said his time was limited. So I wanted to just, let's see.
A translation of a translation.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I got to look at that. But what Hebrew manuscript did let's say, the old Greek text translate from? What Hebrew manuscript from the New Testament is older than the oldest Greek?
I'm not aware of a single one.
Right, because there's no old Greek, there's no old Hebrew New Testaments older than the actual found Greek manuscripts. Like, they are the oldest. And as a result, I'm sorry, not in addition, that Greek manuscript is older than that Syriac as well.
I don't disagree.
Right. So if you Google like the oldest translation of the New Testament, it's going to be in Greek.
I don't disagree.
Right. So the Greek wouldn't be called a translation. Like the Greek. Wait. So you don't. Wait a minute. He doesn't disagree now. You just said it was Matthew. I mean, he just said the Hebrew Matthew is where the Syriacs and that. Okay, so he argued with Meach about oldest stuff. So then he's telling us the Syriac Sinaiticus translated itself out of the Hebrew Matthews. But now he's agreeing that if that was true, the oldest record was Greek. So like he's arguing reverse of what he did with Meach to me. Like, so now he's appealing to and he's bowing down to the Greek as the source, and I guess as the oldest. But with Meach, I guess he was doing that too, because he said Papyrus 1 was Greek. I don't like these guys are Okay, Greek is regarded as actual scripture. Like,
Okay, so did Matthew, when he wrote Matthew, did he write it in Greek?
yeah, he would have to. Yeah.
Really? Matthew, a Jew who spoke Hebrew, would write to
Yeah,
Israelites in
yeah,
Greek?
because they were Hellenized.
How? Show me where Matthew was Hellenized.
Well, everybody at that time of Jesus was Hellenized.
No, they weren't.
Okay, so I see your angle. Uh,
That's not. That's just the truth. That's why you have the Greek word Hellenistes for Hellenized.
so now we know that's a lie. That nobody really spoke at that time. The time of Jesus, no Hebrews really spoke Hebrew at all. They all pretty much spoke. And from what I researched, they lost their Hebrew tongue pretty much during the Babylonian issues when they was in captivity to the Babylonians. That's when they started to lose their Hebrew tongue. They started to learn the different languages of their captives. So about the time they got to Greco-Roman, that period, they were no longer speaking in Hebrew. Like that was like maybe the scholars like Matthew, but the common folk wasn't speaking Hebrew. Like this is an easy Googleable research.
Jews. They tell you the Hellenized Jews.
So the oldest. So let me say this then: the oldest Greek text.
You understand, brother? Dude, like it's like you'll raise a point, it'll get addressed, and it'll get debunked, and you'll just move act as if that was never.
It's not that because like you said, you and look into generations. I got to look into what you're saying. I'm not claiming to like know all the answers, right? So I'm gonna look into it, because you're here. When you're free again, we'll talk. And I'll look it up. So what I was just gonna say real quick was that in the old Greek text that's older than the Syriac, which is a translation. The Greek text is called original scripture. That
That's not the original scripture.
okay. So let's put that on hold. We can look at that later, another time. When you're free. But the Greek text is older than the Syriac, and that does not have the old Greek text does not have Jacob begot anybody.
But it doesn't have Jacob begot anybody. It just said Jacob begot Joseph.
My fault, Joseph. Those J's, man. That word, that name Jacob is a beautiful name. It just stick to your tongue. Joseph does not beget anybody in the older Greek text is older than the Syriac.
Okay, let's look at the text and let's look at the Greek. Matthew 1:16. And Jacob begot Joseph, the husband of Mary, of whom was born Christ. Let's take a look at the Greek word for born.
Oh,
Ganeo. What does ganeo mean? Of men who fathered children. So it does say that.
no.
It does say Joseph was the father of Jesus. What does it mean to father a child? You have sex with a woman and make a baby.
Are you sure?
Yeah, because that same Greek word is used in Matthew 1:15. And Eliud begat Eleazar, and Eleazar begat. Same word.
No, it's not the same word. So
It is.
So when I looked at it,
No. It is Strong's G 1080. It's the exact same word.
No. Look, I got you. It's the same root word. It's not the same inflected word.
No, it's the same exact word, brother. Strong's.
All right, brother. I try to spare you. Matter of fact, I tried to hang up a while ago. He wanted to keep talking. All right.
G 1080.
All right. So do me a favor. So look up to the actual Greek text, right, in that translation. So you're going to see Texas receptors, and you're going to see the Greek word, and you're not going to see Ganao in the scriptures at all, because Ganao cannot be in the scriptures. Ganao is a first person verb. So it's like Spanish. I study Spanish. It's hablo is first person. That means me. I speak. But if I want to say you speak, I would say hablas, right? But if I want to say somebody else outside of it speak singular, I would say habla. Okay, so habla would be third person, hablo would be first person, hablas would be second person. So ganao is first person. So we know that can't be in the Bible because that's Matthew's actually begetting somebody. So if you look in the Greek, the word is actually eganesin. So and that means and the e before the g just means past tense. So that's why I say ganao would say I did this present tense. It's a present tense verb. It has to be past tense. Oh, so that's why the e is there. The e represents past tense.
It's the same as when it says Eliud begat Eleazar. What's the Greek word for begat right there?
Eganesis.
Okay. When it says in Matthew 1:16, of whom was born Jesus, what's the Greek word for born right there?
Eganese.
Is it the same word?
No.
No? Okay. What's the difference between the first one and the second one?
So if you was to see eganese and everywhere it's using the New Testament, it's always a woman giving birth. If you look at begot, that's going to the Father.
Okay. Got you. Okay. That's a fair point. I can definitely look into that. That's a fair point. Now you still have a lot of explaining to do. Like,
all right, so this conversation went a little bit different. That's why I say, LJ, I'm dismissive of the Syriac Sinaiticus. I'm not making that admissible in court. I'm making that inadmissible. No, sir. This is a translation of a translate. No, it's a translation of original copy, which I say it has to be. If it's not Greek, it's bullshit. And he said, Matt, he said it's Hebrew. So, but we can't find that Hebrew. So again, it's bullshit. So now we're back to what we do have. We have the Greek, and it's older than any Syriac, and it's older than any Hebrew he could try to find. Okay, and now we know that born is actually born. That's correctly placed there for Mary, not for Joseph. So Joseph ain't begot nobody in the Greek. All right. So now he's gonna deflect, and he took the L there. He dropped that. So now, so when we spoke to him, he already heard some of this already. Okay, so here we go.
how Jesus is from the tribe of Judah, but he's not from the tribe of Judah.
Right. Yeah. Now I ain't gonna lie. This part is not really easy for me to explain, but I'm gonna try my best. Okay. So it's gonna be all right. So when you I can't answer your question. I'll just say it. So that's why I say it's two ways. So some people believe that Mary is from the tribe of Judah, right?
You're not an Israelite based on who your mother is, though.
I understand that. Okay, so
Do you agree with that?
In most cases, I agree.
Okay, so can you show me anywhere in the Bible, except for Jesus, where a man is called from his mother's lineage?
Now that's not fair to say. The proof I have, you say don't use that proof. All right, but anyway, I'm not even going to try because I told you in the inbox that I didn't even talk about that. I talk about the other way. So now this is myself trying not to feed him information. Now I was forced to give him Eganesin because he was trying to make it seem like he had proof that Joseph was a father in the Greek, in the text of Receptus. So he gave me no choice but to beat him down on that one. So now he's trying to squeeze me now. He's trying to see what else do I know. And now he wants to know how can Mary be from the tribe of Judah without a father? He's trying to squeeze me there. Okay. And at that time I was debating like, should I? I'm like, nah. So I'm gonna be fair and just address the other way. Okay. Yeah, I'm not
So
like,
raised him. A Judite raised him, so now he's a Jew.
Yeah.
Is there any scriptural precedence for that anywhere in the Bible?
Yeah. So when you go to so what I can't give you exactly, but I can give you other situations where that happened. Right.
Where they're now, because so what I'm asking you to do now is someone's father or is either absent or they just don't have a dad, and they now take on the entire identity and race of, because basically it's what you're telling me is like a Chinese man can adopt a black child, and now he's now ethnically Chinese.
But he's clearly trying to fish out of me. First Chronicles chapter 2. Yeah. So when you look at in Matthew's 1, you look at verse 11.
But did you hear what I just said?
Yeah, exactly, and I agree with that.
So you as a black man, if you were adopted by a Chinese man, you would now be, and he raised you, you'd be ethnically Chinese.
No, our standard is totally different than like biblical times.
Okay, so let's say, who do you believe Chinese people are in the Bible?
I have no idea.
You have no idea. Okay. Who do you believe white people are in the Bible?
When it says Romans and Greeks, that's obvious.
Okay, but what nationality?
European.
Well, no. In biblical nationality.
Oh, I just Roman. Yeah, he's trying to get me to say Esau. Hey, press play. Just exactly what it says.
Anyway, okay. Where you want to go in the Bible?
Okay, so I want to go to. So he took an L on Matthew chapter 1. So he's trying to get me back. I want to go to Matthew chapter 1. I'm gonna stay right there with the genealogy. So if you look at verse 11. Now, we know that these are like Greek terms of the Old Testament names, right? So just bear with me. So it says Josias begot Jeconias, which we know happened, right? And then, so this would be, I believe this is like, but let me just say, Josias begot Jeconias. We know that that's a fact. And his brethren, because he had brothers. About the time they were carried away to Babylon. Okay? So, from my understanding, everybody under that, under verse 12. When it says, and after they were brought to Babylon, Jeconiah begot Salathiel, and Salathiel begot Zerubbabel. So I'm under the impression, understanding my research, that everybody from Salathiel down are heirs, that they're not biological descendants of a father that was in line for kingship or anything great.
Again, it's like, bro, one, it's completely irrelevant, and two, I'm asking you to prove how a man, his entire race changes based on who raised him. That's what you're.
Yeah, well,
that's what you're telling me.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So when you go to verse 12, right? So this is the start of that happening. So verse 12, it says, and after they were brought to Babylon, Jeconiah begot Salathiel. We know that happened. But when it says Salathiel begot Zerubbabel, we know that never happened. Salathiel had no kids, right? Zerubbabel had a father named Pedaiah, right? So
No.
Really?
No.
So you want to go to his genealogy?
Yeah, let's go to. Okay. Yeah, I know you're gonna go. It's gonna be very problematic.
Okay. I mean, I would love to hear your understanding, and I'm gonna respect it. Okay, so I'm gonna go to First Chronicles.
Yep, it's gonna say Pedaiah, I think.
Yeah, of course it will. So First Chronicles chapter 3, and we're gonna go to what verse is it? Do you know? Okay, I got it. So it says, and it says, so let's start at
Just go to 19. That's the point. The sons of Pedaiah were Zerubbabel.
Right, and the sons of Pedaiah were Zerubbabel. So that's as his son, and Shimi and the sons of Zerubbabel. So okay, that's it. So we got the sons of Zerubbabel. So how is he the son of Salathiel?
It's simple. Pedaiah is not his father, and it's incorrect. First Chronicles 3:19 is incorrect. There's multiple witnesses that say.
Hey, OJ, did you hear that? He said, he said First Chronicles chapter 2:19 is incorrect because he said so. Yo,
It's a good argument.
Huh?
It's a good argument. If you want to make it because I say so.
Right. Oh my God. He said it's incorrect, bro. I was so done. I was surprised he said that. I was like, you know what? I'm ready to hang up. I got enough information. I got him to concede Matthews 1:18. And now he just took an L right here. He said it's incorrect because it doesn't agree with him. Is incorrect. This guy is hilarious.
Salathiel is his father. Haggai 1:1. Came the word of the Lord by Haggai, the prophet, unto Zerubbabel, the son of Salathiel. Haggai 1:12. Zerubbabel, the son of Salathiel. I think it's Zechariah, I think, calls him the son of Salathiel. Even when you read Ezra's own account, I think it calls him the son of Salathiel. There's certain times in the Bible, especially when you have a genealogical lineage, where there's mistakes that are made.
Shit.
First Chronicles 3:19 is a perfect example of that.
Right. So what about let's go back to Matthews. What about this one? When it says Zerubbabel begat Abiud.
But again, this is not. I'm asking you to show how a man's race, his entire race, changes because of who raised him. That makes no sense.
I'm saying that with Zerubbabel and Abiud. Abiud is not who's that guy, but he's listed in the kingship genealogy in Matthew chapter 1. It says, "And Zerubbabel begat Abiud, if you go back to First Chronicles 3:19, it says Rubel begot Meshullam, Hananiah, and Shalomith, their sister, a woman. There is no guy named Abud there. So obviously, from what I'm coming from, is that you raise somebody up. You can.
Yeah, that's you're asserting.
Hmm?
You're asserting that.
Then he charged me with assertion. That's a context clue. So that's my understanding on that.
Okay, well, again, your understanding is not backed by scripture. It's just a conclusion you're coming off of based off of your own flawed understanding of the Bible.
All right, but I mean, I just want to share that with you. That's
I got you. And like I said, brother, it's no disrespect, it's nothing but love, but it makes
none taken, none taken. I asked for your time, and I wanted you to hear and see. I want to get your opinion, see what you think. And
yeah, no sense at all.
Yeah,
like not even.
But
Yeah,
like I said, I respect your time. You said 5 minutes. I'm trying to be close to 5 minutes as possible. I'm sure I probably had more to say, but because I didn't expect to talk to you at all, like I'm actually winging it, to be honest.
well, I'm winging it too.
Yeah, but you seem like you do this,
I mean,
But
but yeah, bro,
yeah.
no,
Give me some
studying.
time to give me some time to to look up some things, and I inbox you respectfully, and we see if we could talk again.
All right, brother.
I appreciate you, bro, for actually responding and accepting that small dialogue. It was very
I got you.
respectful.
All right, King. Peace.
Peace. All right. So that's how that went. So I started off, humble, and I got a little aggressive on them, challenged some things. So LJ, what were you saying about Hiram?
So go and have a look at the verse and what it actually says, because he said that it was about the king, the
Yeah.
king of Tyre. Go and have a look at what the actual verse states. So it's in. We need to go to I think it's the First King 7
7:14.
in the context of that.
From what? From when verse? What verse?
So we need to go to the start of that passage, which is verse 13.
Okay.
No, it's not First Kings. It's the parallel passage in Second Chronicles.
13.
Second Chronicles 2:11, starting at verse 11.
Okay. Then Hiram the king of Tyre answered in writing, which he sent to Solomon, because the Lord have loved his people. He had made thee king over them. All right. So let me wait. The Hiram,
Right.
Hiram the king of Tyre, which he sent.
All right. So this is the king of then Hiram, the king of Tyre, answered in writing, which he sent to Solomon, because the Lord hath loved his people. So he's acknowledging Yahweh anyway with the Lord. He hath made you king over them. So he's writing this to Solomon and said, "You're the king of the Lord's people," basically.
Yep.
Then Hiram said, "Moreover, blessed be the Lord God of Israel, Yahweh, that made heaven and earth." So he's acknowledging the God that made the heaven and the earth for a start. This is the king of Tyre, who hath given to David the king a wise son, endued with produce and understanding, that might build an house for the Lord for his kingdom. And now I have sent a cunning man, endued with understanding, of Hiram my father's. So this is the king of Tyre sending someone else. This person that he sends is the son of a woman of the daughters of Dan, and his father was a man of Tyre. He doesn't say that this person he's sending is a Tyrian. He's just stating his lineage here, the woman of Dan, and that his father was of Tyre.
Right, that's all.
And that's all. But it isn't the king of Tyre who's coming.
Right.
He's sending somebody else.
Oh yeah.
All
And
right,
I
but listen to
understand. Right.
listen to what he says back in the parallel passage back in First Kings 7. He actually calls David his Lord. It might be which verse is that? I just found it.
12? No.
It might be in a completely different passage altogether. I'll find this in a minute. But he calls David his Lord. But anyway, this isn't the king of Tyre for a start.
Yeah.
And the man he's sending is not being called a Tyrian. He's just stating his lineage, which is he's saying that one of his parents is from
Tyree,
Israel and the other one is from Tyre. That's it. That's all he states.
Yep. Just like the Israelites, his woman with Egyptian dad.
Yeah.
That's all it says.
Yeah. And there's another verse. Yeah, where did I find that? Let me scroll back. Second 14. I just had it. But the king of Tyre calls David his Lord.
Tyree.
Maybe I need to find that verse. Why did I lose that? Anyways, I will find that verse again, but it's certainly not the king of Tyre for a start.
Yeah, definitely seen that. Yeah. So that's why I say, like, when they give you passages, it's usually like a heads up, like heads up for a gotcha. But once they give you the passage, you got it. But you see how he was trying to set up a scenario. He wanted me to go to either. So it looks like he's not aware of First Chronicles 2 because when Meach hinted at it, he thought he was talking about the Israelitish woman and her son and the father of the Egyptian. He thought Meach was going to go there. So, because I remember when I hit Ariella with First Chronicles 2, he was unaware. And when I hit Deacon with it, after you gave it to me, I hit them two with it. They was off guard. Like they start freestyling. Hey, these are Hamites. Who's this person? Who's that person? Like Ariella went crazy. Deacon was trying to call them all Hamites, but they were all unaware of it. Some of them are aware of it, but they still can't deal with it. But Hasad, based upon how he responded with because I spoke to Hasad. This account was before Meach when I talked to him. This was like months in between. So I don't know if he's aware of First Chronicles 2. But he was trying to get me to go to the Israelites woman. But again, I didn't want to give him too much. So like my thing is when I talk to these guys, because I know it's not like a formal sit down. It's always like on a fly, they got to go. They always got to go. So I don't want to fill them with information I don't want them to squeeze me. I'm trying to squeeze them. So I'll be trying to tell me that like when you talk to these guys, stop volunteering information. Only bring out information if you got no choice. Like he gave me no choice. He was saying the begots are the same, ganal. So I had to educate the guy. But I didn't want to do that much. So
yeah.
But for you listening out there, the point I was trying to make when he said, show a guy could be adopted into a whole lineage without being part of that lineage in the first place. The reason why I showed Zerubbabel and Abud, because I'm saying Abud is inserted in the lineage and line of David. And I'm saying, what the hell was he before that? because Abihu is not Zerubbabel's biological children. He has children named in First Chronicles chapter 2:19 or 20, which Hasad says is flawed. So when I do bring out evidence, Hassan could just say, "Hey, that's a scribal error. Next, try again." So you see, like that's his defense. If it makes sense, hey, it's a scribal error. Like he just says it and it's true. So my thing was, how is it viewed from David when he's not of David in Zerubbabel's line, in the line of David in First Chronicles chapter 2? He's not there. How is he there now? And why is he there under the guise of a son of Zerubbabel when we know he's not? So I was showing an example how somebody could be inserted into a line that they're not in anywhere else, and then they're also listed as the son. So not only they add into the line, they're listed as the son of somebody who's in the line. So like that was my case in point of, hey man, it seems like this is a thing in Israel where you could be not part of a lineage and then be in the lineage magically, like Abiud and everybody down, but definitely Abiud because he's not in First Chronicles chapter 2 at all. And the only name we see close to Abiud are Levites. So I'm not gonna do his standard. Oh, it looks the same, must be the same. I'm not doing that. I'm just saying that there's no Abiud in the Old Testament that's from the line of David, and definitely none that's sons of Zerubbabel. So I went there to say, bro, you got to explain that. How is he the son of Zerubbabel, and why is he in the line of David? If what you're saying can't happen. So that's why I went there. For any listening persons, kind of ain't know where I was going. So I went there, LJ, without giving them the hardcore proof, because I got what I wanted from him, and I always say to Meach, I want to leave a lasting impression. So I don't want him to feel like we left on that. I want him to like keep in mind, hey, we left on Matthew 1, how your begot theory fell apart.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, as it comes to this Hiram thing, like I say, I'm going to look into it more, but he's definitely not called a Tyrion. He's literally just the king who he said it was, the king. Well, the king is sending someone who just has he's just got two lineages. One is of the daughters of Dan here, and the other one is his father was Tyre. He's not being called a Tyre or a Tyrene or whatever. And it's in verse 14 where literally the king of Tyre is calling David his lord. My lord David, your father.
What verse was that?
And that's in Second Chronicles 2:14. So yeah, he's acknowledging Yahweh or Jehovah, whichever way you want to call it, as the God that created the heaven and earth, as in verse 12. And then in verse 14, he calls David his Lord. So he has a connection to the people of Israel anyway, this king. And I need to look into that more.
Yeah, definitely.
He's acknowledging that the God of Israel, in verse 12, he's saying, Hiram said, moreover, blessed be the Lord God of Israel that made heaven and earth. So he's acknowledging who this is.
Yeah.
But nowhere is the king of Tyre being called of there, and it certainly isn't reference to him anyway. So I don't think he's understood these verses very well.
Of course not. They like you say, he read a little bit of how Revelation was put together, and what you're saying is true. He looked at the last part of the last verse of Revelation 22 and says, and he gonna paint all of his work is based on the Latin. and then he's going to mention a mysterious Hebrew Matthew that the world never seen. Fringe evidence, but then he tells me, he said, this is what they do. They insert or they admit fringe evidence, and then they tell you everything you present, it got to be concrete. Now, can you imagine if the Greek was saying what they said, and there was some long lost Matthew that said Joseph didn't beget? Can you imagine we trying to go to that long lost Hebrew that said Joseph didn't beget? And they'd be like, hell no. They'd be like, bro, we got the Greek, man. They'd be like, yo, you go find that Hebrew Matthew that says that. That's why I'm not giving him a break. Find me that long lost Hebrew. But he made a claim. He said the Syriac came from that Hebrew, that long lost Hebrew. That's unheard of. Never heard scholars say that. He just made that up. So after that conversation, he never responded to anything. I think I gave him 2 inboxes because he said we're going to follow up. He said some stupid stuff. So I contacted him to do a follow up. No results found. Like he didn't even look at it. He didn't even look at my message. To this day, there's no like his logo is not at the bottom to show that he's seen it. He didn't even look at my message. He's like disinterested totally to talk to me. Yeah, but I told you, man, that Syriac stuff, that's not gonna fly with me. Like Meech wants to entertain that, go that rabbit hole, fine, go ahead. But me, nah, I'm not entertaining that rabbit hole. We're gonna dismiss that immediately. Dude, this is a translation of original copy, and you're reading an English translation of the other translation that you're. So your 2 proofs of evidence are both translations. But then when he wants to show something in the King James, he don't want the translation. He wants to go to the Greek, to the source. So, all right, so can we go to the source of your translation? Let's go to the source of your Syriac translation. And it seems like he's not interested in doing it. All right, so it looks like I got some debates lined up. So I'm gonna end this. I sent the link for Matt. I don't know where he went.